Hello and welcome to Black Dragon Gaming. My name is Katagus Era, and I will be your host this evening. This is, if I remember correctly, episode 10 of Tyranny. Now, at the end of the previous episode, we had just gotten done doing a bunch of Spire stuff, and then there's also a lot of conversation to do, and Ebb is a sarcastic ass, and I love it. Go ahead and read it, because I'm probably not going to repeat it, but Katagus will suffice.
So if I might ask, what is your plan now? The edict no longer looms overhead, and Kairos' conquest of the Tears seems to be slipping. What with the armies in civil war?
The plan is to destroy the Scarlet Chorus.
Then you have my full support. The Scarlet Chorus has grown in the years of conquest. Among the Horde are Tearsmen fighting because they felt there was no choice, as well as Tearsmen fighting to watch their homeland burn. It pains me we will have to slay some of the former.
First order of business, I should speak with Tunon.
I would counsel you to do just that. I'm sure the events of Vendrian's Well are best explained from your mouth to Tunon's ears. Furthermore, I'd guess the Archon of Justice would want to know your take on the Archons and their divide.
Yeah, probably. Any suggestions?
My first suggestion would be to build a boat. Something durable, and take our chances on the high seas far from Kairos. I have a second and more practical suggestion. Look to the horizon and slightly up. By that I mean the other spires. We should see what's atop the others. Otherwise someone else might look first.
As a random aside, I really like how the pictures over here move. Like, the characters move to show, like, what they're doing in conversation, so it's not just, like, a static image of their face that you're seeing. That's pretty cool, I think. Anyway, what do you know about the other spires?
Not nearly enough, apparently. To me, they've always been axioms of navigation. You can triangulate a lot of things with the sextant and a clear view to a spire or two. We've long known the spires radiate strong magical fields, and all save the mountain spire connect to the old walls. So it's the sort of thing common folk know from afar, but avoid day to day.
That's all I have for now.
Well, short of Tunon giving you orders on pain of death, you have the luxury of acting on your own volition. Though the Scarlet Chorus are likely to come for you. Whatever you decide, I'm at your disposal.
Your assistance will be most helpful.
And I am thankful to not be a bloody pile of offal in Vendrian's Well. Life under your banner will, I'm sure, prove most interesting.
Yes, it will. I am, if nothing, but an entertaining master. Alright, speak further.
What is it you need?
Oh, matters at hand.
Oh, we're working with the disfavored. You want my advice? My advice would be to get close to Graven Ash and plunge a poisoned shiv in his ear.
And how exactly do you think one goes about doing this?
Well, if you're working with Graven Ash, give it your all. Offer to help the Archon of War with whatever he needs. The stronger the Legion, the weaker the Chorus. And if you get close enough to him, well, with enough trust, you could get very close to the Archon of War.
I've already been in his tent, just me and these guys and the Graven Ash, multiple times. I don't need to do this, but I like the way you think, lady.
I'm not saying it's a quick plan, but I think if you stay close in his confidence, the moment to strike will reveal itself in time.
Got some other questions for you.
Ask away.
Speak of magic. Actually, no, it's, travel companions, sure. What do you make of Barrick?
My one concern with Barrick is that he's still loyal to Graven Ash and not to you. Barrick seems steadfast, faithful, and dependable. But if it comes down to you versus Graven Ash, therein lies the test.
If it warrants a tactical asset, it'd be fun to try and pry him out of that suit. Curious to see if his midsection is as strong, firm, and taut as I've imagined it'd be. You dirty lady. What are your thoughts on verse?
We should consider ourselves fortunate that one of the most deadly members of the Scarlet Furies considers you a suitable gang leader. That said, I think her involvement with you is entirely suspect. I would wager good money the voices of Neratis listening through her, or perhaps seeing what she sees.
I've had that thought a few times, yes. What's your take on Lantry?
Probably the only word thief I haven't wanted to dismember. Him, I'd merely flay with an ice knife.
The Wandering Scholar thing seems an act. It's always an act with the sages, always pretending to know less than they really do. I'm sure he's got 1,000 reasons for why he's not like them or more trustworthy than the rest, but I know his type, so I don't trust him. Alright, change the subject.
Ask away.
Excuse me. Alright. What the people of the Tears?
We all know how to swim, and we all know how to fight. Most Northmen are lucky to make half that boast. What would you like to know?
People of the Tears. Oh, shit. I was expecting this to be voiced. Ah. So I took a sip of tea at the wrong time. Anyway, I think you'll find each of us thinks themselves a child of Haven, as in my case, or a child of Azure, child of Apex, or what have you. But I suppose we Tearsmen have our shared customs. The most treasured of those customs used to be the pride of being free of Kairos' rule. Do you have any particular questions? When were the Tears settled? Human settlers arrived over 400 years ago, displaced from a war between what are now Kairos' realm of Trevin and Fertile Sands, a flotilla of barely seaworthy rigs, and headed west across the high seas. Tearsmen will sometimes speak of the Five Wives. We used to refer to both the first 5 settlements where the colonists made landfall, as well as to the 5 matriarchs that went on to form the ruling dynasties of the Tears. Of course, I'm leaving out the matter of the builders of the old walls. Who knows when they lived here and why they're gone, but those old walls didn't just fall out of the sky. Wanna bet? Why don't men own land or women ships? For centuries, it has been our way that the men own the ships, but the women own the harbors. Our customs don't truly prevent ownership, they limit inheritance. Lands pass to daughters, then sisters, then mothers and aunts. Ships pass to sons, then brothers, then fathers and uncles. It seems strange to outsiders, but it makes sense to us. Men are blessed with wanderlust, women with a sense of the permanent. Likewise, the captain of a ship can't pause to carry a child, and men grow restless if left in place. I can agree with that to an extent. Like, I like to travel, yes, but if I had something like a castle to keep or something like that, I don't know. I think I would just stay in my lands and rule it properly. And maybe occasionally do a war or 6 to expand my lands, but hey, whatever. In truth, the custom varies from place to place. You'll find men with enough wealth to own land and women with enough sway to own ships. As is often the case, the nobles pick and choose their traditions. Why didn't the younger realms stand united against Kairos? Are you trying to rub it in? Yes, the younger realms were defeated one at a time by the invaders. Maybe if I was Queen of the Tears, that wouldn't have happened. Well then, what would Queen Ebb have done? I would have taken the threat seriously the moment troops were stopped marching to the gates of judgment. Sorry. Burpy today, apparently. Anyway, am I the only person whose mother mentioned that Kairos was a real threat? Opportunity, that's what killed us. Haven wanted to watch the bastard tier fall first, Apex was hoping Haven would fall, Azure wanted Stalwart to be attacked first. Every realm of the tiers had some interest in watching their neighbors fall first. So we all held back our support until a year or so into the war. Too fucking late by then, squabbling idiots. Tiersmen live with greater numbers of beastmen. What's all that like? The beastmen of the tiers are hardier and smarter than their kin elsewhere. And fortunately, we have lived together in relative harmony for some time. Make no mistake, life is difficult for most beastmen in the tiers, but compared to, say, how they're treated in the Northern Empire, I would like to think that we tiersmen are a bit more modern and forward-thinking. Even if just a little bit. But I suppose I also take an overly optimistic view of our beastly cousins. I find their clumsy honesty endearing, and while no human will say nice things about my cooking, no beastman has ever said anything mean about my worst dishes. Fair enough. Let's change the subject.
We all know how to swim, and we all know how to fight. Most Northmen are lucky to make half that boast. What would you like to know?
What of the major resistors to Kairos' rule?
Aside from the ones you slew? Well, the Vendrian Guard were the most staunch opponents of Kairos. With their passing, the Overlord's rule is absolute. Well, aside from the local Archons being in a state of civil war. Was there a particular group you wish to discuss?
What about the Unbroken? Actually, it's a good chance to do this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I think we've already clicked on those. Alright. What about the Unbroken?
The Unbroken is the name of the military of the now fallen realm of Stalwart. Every citizen of Stalwart was trained to fight, and all were expected to answer the rallying cry of the Regents, the ruling small council of the realm. A decade ago, Stalwart was the ass end of jokes Tearsmen would tell each other. The people of Stalwart are obnoxiously proud of a long history of being invaded, but never losing. The disfavored put an end to their vaunted record of victory.
Yeah, they did.
The Unbroken still persist, albeit marginally so. The disfavored withdrew after the Edict of Storms began shredding the landscape. Their holdfast of Sentinel Stand Keep was never taken, and the citizen army, though scattered, could still be rallied.
Yeah, this is why you aren't arrogant about things. Yeah.
Kairos' war was disastrous to the human realm of Azure, but a stroke of good luck for the numerous beastmen that toiled in Azure's endless wheat fields. With the Masters all dead, the serfs have been set free. The Stonestalkers are a tribe born from these newly freed beasts. I imagine they would never bow to Kairos or the Archons. Too many generations have been enslaved. I'd wager anything they'll die before they ever bow. Beastmen understand strength and leadership, but it's always in the concrete sense. I can't pretend to know how they think, but I could never imagine them accepting an absent Prima. A distant ruler they can't see or smell seems a bit too abstract.
Here you go. 1, 2, 3. Alright, Bronze Brotherhood.
The Bronze Brotherhood is one of the most feared and famous of the Free City mercenary companies. They serve the highest bidder, and during the war, that was Kairos. You probably know them as the drunkard mercenaries at Lethian's Crossing. From back when you were governor?
Yeah, I remember those sellswords. Had to crack the whip on their nonsense for the good of the settlement.
If any band of fools needed a spanking, it'd be them. I bet the folks who actually live in Lethian's Crossing were glad to have you running the show.
Are there other remnants of the younger realms that could still rise against Kairos?
Several sages came to our aid during the Second Battle of Vendrian's Well. I at first thought they meant to kill me, but instead they put their lives on the line for us. They spoke of others in their guild braving the Edict of Fire to salvage lore from the burning library. Though I may find them untrustworthy, it must be said that the sages have a certain fearlessness toward the Overlord. Perhaps that could be kindled further. Historically speaking, an alliance with the School of Ink and Quill is just asking to have your efforts stolen and your goals undermined. Mark my words, some things never change.
Well, think of the sages as a resource. In that sense, we are fools not to use them. Honestly, it's just two different ways of saying the same thing. It's like, yeah, you know, if they will bow to my will, then I'd be a fool not to use them. And, yeah, I mean, look at that. I guess it's just how you phrase it. Phrasing.
Well, perhaps we can shove them in front of the enemy. And the ones that volunteered at Vendrian's Well weren't all bad.
Hey, loyalty rank 4. Awesome. Sorry. What about the different nations of the tiers? Ah, come on. Why can't you be more voiced? I want my tea. Before Kairos came, the tiers were the younger realms. The bastard tier and the free cities, in about that order of prominence. We all trace our roots back to the Five Wives, though sometimes a bit of ancestral shoreline seems all we have in common. Tell me about the younger realms. Haven, Azure, Apex, and Stalwart have been the 4 major forces of the tiers for the last 4 centuries. A few other dynasties have tried their hand, but all eventually were defeated or absorbed into the 4 we know today. That's a typo. Not sure when the term younger came into fashion, but it's always been a term of humble contrast. Just look at the old walls. Someone that was here before us and built them. I don't know anything, really anything about them, but it stands to reason there used to be an older realms that did all the construction. Yeah, whatever. Alright, tell me about the bastard tier. I gotta have my tea. It's the northernmost of the tiers and the choke point into the Northern Empire. It's been a hub of trade for centuries, and a long line of merchant families and private armies have kept the realm largely lawless. Though many of us used to joke about the bastard city being sacked by rabid dogs, Tunon's capture of the city was a terrible blow to the morale of the tiersmen. We knew that that day, Kairos was more than just a fun story to scare your kids. Kairos holds literally everything except the tiers. Well, held everything except the tiers. Now they hold everything, but... like, the entire continent except the tiers. How could Kairos not be more than just a fun story to scare your kids at that point? Come on! Same thing. What can you tell me about the Free Cities? There's little free about the Free Cities save for their independence from the younger realms. They are not physically adjacent, but rather politically allied. Blech. That was a weird hiss. Sorry. They are not physically adjacent, but rather politically allied by their shared hatred of the other realms. Most all of the free cities were defeated with little effort by Kairos' forces. Way I heard it, Narat just had to have agents hire up their mercenaries and order them to simply be elsewhere when the armies of the Overlord arrived. Alright, change the subject. Change the subject.
Ask away.
And what can you tell me of the Archons and the Tiers?
Not entirely sure. Which is to say, there was a time I studied my enemy in great detail, but I've recently come to learn that much of my information was little more than lies and misdirection.
What about the voices? The Archon of Secrets lives up to his name. If he weren't so loathsome a beast, I'd have admired his mastery of the magical arts. They say he knows all the sigils lost to history, but I've also heard it said that all stolen knowledge is why he speaks in his different voices. That's actually true, if I haven't pegged correctly. But in truth, I'm learning that most of what I know is just lies and misdirection, though I guess he'd be a poor Archon of Secrets if I had my facts straight. Good point. Graven Ash. Before the conquest, I assumed Graven Ash was a harmless old man, an Archon in name only, past his prime. I could not have been more wrong. Many have underestimated the great general by his age. Few of them had made the mistake twice. Ash is a remarkable general. He's led his tiny band of disfavored on a nearly unstoppable rampage of the Tiers, and he does not seem to win his wars with obvious displays of mystic powers, but with old-fashioned leadership and good soldiers. A year or so back, under a blue flag talk with the commander, I was told that the Archon knows the name of every soldier under his command, living and dead. The way the disfavored speak of Ash, you'd think he raised each of them from the cradle. It might as well, honestly. The disfavored sign up when they're very young, if I recall. This is something like 16 or something like that, and by the time they leave the service of the disfavored, if they survive that long, they're like 30 or something like that. So, I mean, Graven Ash has been their leader for like 15 years, at least half of their life. What about Karen? Enough. In that case, I won't question further. Fair enough. What do you know of Siren? Oops, shit. That's not the button I wanted. Press Siren. I'm sure there may be younger Archons in the historical records, but Siren is certainly an unusually powerful child. It's said half of the Scarlet Chorus was recruited by Siren's persuasive song. And I'd not doubt it. I also know the voices of Narat put a shackle on her power, probably feared she'd become the favorite of the rabble. Now I'm kind of curious what would have happened if I removed her helmet.
Ask away.
Change subject. What do you know of Arcane Society?
I know a great deal of the mages of the Tiers, or at least their history. Most are dead now. I know a little less about the guilds sworn to Kairos' Archons, but I try to make an effort to know my opposition.
That's a lot of conversation. Alright, Earthshakers. The Earthshakers are the disciples of Cairn, Archon of Stone, and they share their master's command of Trimmers and Soil. They also share Cairn's aloof, brooding temperament. From what I gather, the Earthshakers serve the disfavored, but the relationship has been deeply strained by Cairn's fall from grace. I imagine there's the fear that Cairn shared with them something subversive or treasonous. What about the Bloodchanters? The Bloodchanters are the voices of Narat's cabal of mages. Their magic is taken from the sigil of Siren and from techniques stolen from the School of Wild Wrath, namely their magic of fire, is learned from the Thousand Embers, Archon of Fire. They barely qualify as a proper school or guild. Most of them are barely literate, and I bet most of them didn't learn a damn thing, just had their knowledge shoved into their head by Narat. No, they actually learned, believe it or not. What can you tell me of the Forgebound? Oh, wait. They've all the brutal buffoonery of the chorus, but with the magic to make their blood less contagious. The only redeeming feature, guess they make the sages seem not half bad. What about the Forgebound? The Forgebound have an unusual sort of magic. They specialize in slow, painstaking rituals that do not produce the dazzling blast of energy and shards of flying ice like my own magic. Instead, their spells render them immune to the fires of the forge and at one with their tools of the trade. I admit a bit of fascination with the guild. I much prefer the power and brutality of my own magic, but if I lived in a calmer, wiser time, I think there could be a great satisfaction in using magic to become the master of one's craft. That's a good point. School of Ink and Quill. Behind the Tidecasters, the sages of the school in Ink and Quill are the second oldest arcane institution in the tiers. We go way back a ways. There's a lot of bad blood. If I'm being objective, the sages claim to be scholars interested in collecting, archiving, and preserving lore from and for all humanity. They're quite keen to gather lore, but in no sense do they seek to share their knowledge with their tiersmen? I suppose that's grammatically correct, considering that the library, I can't remember what it's called now, was actually a city thing that governed a territory of the tiers. Many of our secrets have been pilfered by sages' spies over the centuries, and we're not alone. The sages have the secrets of many other guilds. Their generations of theft have made them versatile and dangerous. What about your own school, the School of Tides? Our patron, Occulted Jade, Archon of Tides. Here you go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I think this is... Yeah, she already talked about this. And for nearly 5 centuries we were masters of the coasts and rivers. These days, it's a school of one. You're looking at it. Why didn't your Archon fight in the war? About a year or so before the troops arrived in the Bastard Tier, Occulted Jade proclaimed the age of the tiers was over, and said she'd depart southwest into unknown, unending ocean rather than face Kairos. It's a good damn choice. Most of my guildmates went along, choosing to risk the endless high seas rather than risk a battle. Sorry. Apologies. A few of us, the militants, as our peaceful brethren dubbed us, chose to stand and fight. To my knowledge, I'm the last of those who decided to stay and fight. What about the other guilds? There have been several to crop up and wither across the centuries. The Cutters Guild took their healing magic north centuries ago. The School of Flowering Winter always limped along as an inconsequential group of gardeners. I don't know, being able to make plants grow in the winter would be fantastic. You could have a growing season literally year long. That way you could expand so much more. Change the subject.
Ask away.
Tell me about yourself. Tell me about your name. Well, I was born Hazen Lavinia, but for most of my life, and I suppose for all the days after, I'm known and will be known as Ebb. Tidecaster Ebb for those trying to be obsequious. I've also probably used a bunch of alias that are going to haunt me at some point. Hazen, didn't realize you were nobility. I know, I dress myself and cook my own food. So misleading. Mother was a magistrate of Ardent, father was Admiralty. It's mostly meaningless, though. Our lands are now the Overlords. How'd you get the nickname? It's one of those not especially funny jokes that stuck long past its season. We wrote the word Ebb incorrectly on a written examination. Master Fulvax started calling me Ebb from then on. He claimed it fit me, and said I was a cynical little shit that always sees the ebb, never the flow. Fair enough. Did you always want to be a Tidecaster? So, when I was a little girl, what I really wanted to be was a Marine. The burly bitch at the prow of a trireme, first to crack some skulls when the ship's rammed. You know, an honest living. Fortunately, the school sought me out before I got myself killed at sea. The School of Tides was looking for new blood. My father was an Admiral of Haven, so the school wanted me for the political connections. I got to spend my first couple of years proving I actually belong with the Tidecasters. That was fun. What did you do in the years before the war? My husband was born in Apex, and he left his prosperous lands to be with me. So when the nest was empty, it seemed right we leave my homeland to see his side of the tiers. We had a year and a bit to ourselves before the war upturned things. We saw all of Apex. I took him along all my old sailing routes from around Five Wives and Sunder. Those were good times. Then the war came, and I learned why I would be one of the last of the tiersmen to live free of Kairos. Ever since then, I think Oathbreaker has technically been my chosen profession. Fair enough. Tell me about your family. Trying to salt all wounds. They're all gone, but if you really care to know, I had a husband, 3 kids, siblings I didn't hate. Every family has its trouble. I was lucky that awkward and stilted dinner banter was the worst of it. What about your husband? Pelox Aldanos and I were married in 410. That's like 20 years ago. Aldanos was a foxman of the Vendrian Guard back before they were starving partisans. but I saw him more as a carpenter. Woodworking was just a hobby of his, but my fondest memories of him are of him trying to shape something, and me making stupid jokes about the firmness of his materials. What became of him? Perished at the gates of judgment. I saw him die. I do not wish to discuss it, just know I've made my peace with it, and am glad I was with him on the field of battle when his time came. That sucks. I miss him, but it might have been for the best. Though he was only a few years older than me, my studies left me always a bit younger than him. The difference grew in time. All the notes was slowing down, and half figured the gates of judgment would be his last battle. If anything, he got exactly the death he wanted, so in that sense, I'm very happy for him. Alright, what about your children? There were the twins, Drevenor and Lorma. And then my youngest son, Akamis. All the notes wanted more, but I was nearing the end of my trials at the School of Tides, and dueling with lethal magics is a terrible idea when with child. That's a good point. Drevenor and Lorma followed my husband's trade and took to the Falks. Akamis liked the harp more than most people. Can't blame him one bit. I made sure my children could read, and I'm damn proud of that. In fact, probably the only thing I did right. What about the twins? They died at the gates of judgment, or at least Drevenor did, run through by a disfavored sphere. Lorma was at the battle, but I don't know what became of her. My fear is she has been recruited by the Scarlet Chorus. Perhaps she has a new name, if she's still alive. What about your youngest? Without Drevenor and Lorma, Akamis, well, he never quite. He took his own life in 430. That sucks. I should have put him on a trireme and shoved him out onto the high seas. He did not ask for birth, and nor did I prepare him for the bitterness that life would offer. Very sorry for your loss, lady. Spare me the sorrow. We've all lost family to Kairos. I just lost 2 in one battle, but even then I'm hardly unique. Fair enough. Change the subject. What about the rest of your family? My family's Haven folk through and through. My mother prided herself on being descended from a Hazen Rabban, one of the founding magistrates of the city of Argent. Sad thing is, they died during the conquest, but that's not how I lost contact. I lost contact because magic and travel became my life. I had plenty of time to get to know them as an adult, but I simply missed it. But that one's my fault. Can't rightly blame Kairos for everything. Yeah, let's go with the new option.
Well, I'm an accomplished liar, but I've no need to spin a tale about any of this. My husband, most of my kids, my parents. Kairos' thugs took them all. If I don't seem broken up, it's because I'm not. I don't feel such things anymore.
I'm torn between gathering loyalty and lore experience. Yeah, I can always get more loyalty to conversation, but so could I get lore. Fuck it, lore.
I like to think of it more as well-refined rage. But amusing you noticed it all the same. Hate is akin to an acid, a poison of the heart that consumes most from within. And like any fluid, if you know how to hold it, you can apply it. It's a trick of the trade, I suppose. One's surges and dry spells of emotion are no different than the rhythms of the waves. There's a shared logic to taming both. Sadness, mania, rage. I suppose I have these things, but they're just humors in the blood to be pushed, needed, and restrained as the situation demands.
I like you. Good control. Alright, let's change the subject. How'd you fall in with Vendrian Guard? What does it matter now that they're gone? They seem the last hope for the Tears, and a ninny-shitting fuck of a chance is still more than no chance at all. Ugh. Alright, change the subject. What about magic?
You know, I normally charge for this, but for you...
What can you tell me about your magical tradition?
Now, you know that's a very personal question. The knowledge I have is a centuries-old gift from the Archon of Tides. I would sooner discard my life than the sanctity of that gift. I will speak in generalities only.
I want to know what she knows. Fine. Tell me about how you influenced Teradus' grave. That was a trade secret, or at least was a trade secret up until a few years ago. My masters were taken before the voices of Nerant, and he pried that wisdom from their mind. Not that I'm still bitter. Tell me how you influence ice, mist, and other forms of water. with years of training. Now look, most of the secrets have already been stolen ages ago by the sages. Doesn't mean I'm gonna tell you just because the secret's already out. But it means that you can go ask someone else if you really feel so entitled to know. You know what? I might just go ask, what's this fuck? Lantry. What are the philosophical teachings of your magic? There's a question I can answer. It would surprise you a little to learn that we see all things, people, wars, seasons, to be cyclical, waxing and waning throughout their various forms like the tides and the light of Terratus' grave. Yeah. Terratus is the name of the planet, and Terratus' grave is one of their moons. And there's another moon called Interloper. That's pretty much it. The mind is limited. We're born and spend our lives dodging death. We expect all stories to have a beginning and an end. We assume that all things start and stop just like us. In truth, all things are cycles, some by matter of minutes, others by matters of years or lifetimes. In the school of tides, we appreciate patterns of all sorts. Most are called to the depths, others find their interests skybound. Many still find the tides of human emotion and political fortunes far more intriguing than inanimate tides found in the orbits and oceans. We'll talk about other arcane matters for now.
You know, I normally charge for this, but for you...
Not right now. Alright, I would love to get her to teach me shit about how she uses magic, because there's a type of magic she uses called Grave Light that's basically, I don't know, negative energy from D&D. You know, it's pretty cool. I like it. So let's teleport up to the top and see if I can't get Lantry to teach me anything. I think that would be really cool if I could get Lantry to teach me like how to use like Grave Light or something. I don't know. But I mean, he's a sage. He might know. I have no idea. Come on. I really like the magic system in this game, okay? I can make my custom spells. It's awesome. If I have the right sigils, I can make any spell I want. I don't think you can summon stuff in this game, which is sort of unfortunate, but whatever, you know? I just deal with it. Oh. I mean, it is sort of a shame, though, that I can't summon stuff. I would really like to animate the dead. Don't look at me like that. I like necromancy, okay? We've already covered this. Necromancy is the shit. Oh, sweet. These guys are here. Shit, I don't know who is who. Who are you? Kenrick Smelter. Not quite a master, but, you know, getting there. Never worked this high up before. First time for everything. Let's put you to work making some weapons, shall we? I'm working, Fateminder. Always working. Come check back later. Oh. What about you? Who are you? Well, if ain't the big bad boss come to take a look at my wares, handpicked from the finest battlefield corpses, I can assure you. Is he blind? What would it be, boss? Corpse Eye, not really a name you come across every day. Unusual? Yeah. Fitting? You tell me. Ugh. That is kind of weird. Let's see what you got in stock. Dude! Don't you... Oh, man. Oh, man. Alright, let's see. Is there a two-handed weapon around here? I don't like spears, though, so... I don't know. Let's see. Let's sell some shit. Let's see. Yes. 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 Sell it all. Don't care. Alright, that'll work. Alright, what the fuck is this? Is this a... accessory? Only kills and shadows. Who the hell is kills and shadows? In shadow. Well, that's a spoiler. Thanks, dick. What about this? Oh, I'm so close to getting it, though. Let me see. Oh, come on. Crimson Spear gloves. Alright, I gotta go away before I get myself in trouble. Who are you? Fatebinder? Oh, you're Venturine Guard. I'm ready to serve as requested. Though the Apex of old is no more, I'm ready to help you find its new place in the tiers. What's your approach to training? Instilling resolve, first of all. We all need purpose for the fights ahead, and unless you want to know why you bleed on the battlefield, it will be all too easy to succumb to fear and pain. And discipline, most of all. The Guard received hot-headed recruits all the time, and they would all be dead if they had charged every time their blood boiled. Alright, let's train. I'll talk to another trainer, see if I can't find some subterfuge or lore. Revos. I doubt that very much. Bitch trying to pickpocket me. Yeah, totally. Come in possession of some items that might be of interest. That was very dishonest of you. I'll take a look at your wares, but don't try that again. Oh no. What the hell is the difference? Superior, cloth, leather. What? How? Oh, dude, no. Don't you tease me. Oh, come on. No. Oh. No. Fuck. Alright, what about you? Sadus. Who are you? Lathian's Crossing. A thin, sinewy man looks out to the horizon, legs firmly planted on the ground as he practices his strikes. His arms snap towards an invisible target in methodical fashion, alternating one after the other. He stops as you approach, an amused smirk on his face. And that, Fatebinder, is exactly what I'd advise you not to do. That may work when you've got 100 stone shields at your back, but someone like you thrives with a little more creativity. That's true. That's where I come in, or so your generous sum of rings has led me to believe. No respect for the disfavored? On the contrary, I have all the respect for the tiers for them. They just don't happen to care for it. They're not fond of bastards, even if your mother happened to serve in the disfavored. Dude, that sucks. My boy had dreams of joining the Legion and being cloaked in purple and iron, but now I spend my days dancing around fools that think a breastplate makes them a better fighter. I wouldn't have it any other way. How should one train? Or how should one fight? Iron and bronze are crutches for the unskilled and honors the delusion of the foolish. Remember that and use it ruthlessly to your advantage. Sure. I'll keep iron on my chest and shit. And, like, my lower legs, my bracers and all that, just to avoid getting gutted, but definitely, dodging is better than tanking. I prefer to dance around my foes, tripping them with the weight of their own armor or stabbing them with their own blades. Even better, winning the fight before it starts. Walk around in my rags and seasoned warriors will hardly give you a second glance. Their years of training won't amount to much when their sword arm suddenly breaks or their balls have been compressed into fine paste. Oh, dude, don't. Alright. I can teach you all about making that fine paste. It may not grace the pages of a sage's chronicle, but it'll make you laugh at night when you're counting your rings and downing your ale. Like to trade. Fair enough. I like this guy. He's cool. Alright, who else have we got here? Who the fuck are you? Swordbreaker. You're a two-handed fighter, if I recall. Lion Tree. You're the reason I came up here.
I'm supposed to be observing history and not getting myself wrapped into it. All the same, this is the thrill of a lifetime. Rarely does one stand so close to monumental moments in the making. If given the choice between a multifaceted hive mind of treachery and a surly old soldier, General Grumps is the wiser choice. It's patently obvious which Archon is truly loyal to Kairos.
General Grumps. Nice.
So, I must ask, are you planning on taking sides in the Civil War? Or do you have other plans?
I'm a servant of the Archon of Justice. That much has not changed.
Dutifully spoken. It is Tunon's duty to arbitrate matters between the Archons, so this rift between Ash and Narat certainly falls under his jurisdiction. And here you are, thrust in the middle of the dispute. No doubt the mighty adjudicator will be relying heavily on you to get to the truth of the matter.
Yeah.
Whatever you do next, consider that many eyes will be upon you. For you have both delivered and taken away the Overlord's edicts, and few will know how to make sense of the latter. You are an exception the Archons cannot afford to ignore. They will likely aim to control or destroy you.
Actually, have you heard of edicts being broken before?
Most of Kairos' edicts were either worded to end in a manner of the Overlord's choosing, or the edicts have simply continued in perpetuity. That's not to say there haven't been stories of broken edicts. They're just uncommon. The oldest is, I think, Golbraith and the Edict of Sorrows, and that tale dates back to around the year 110. Aside from you, the most recent was the Edict of Twisting Grasses, back in 380.
50 years ago, damn.
In all these stories, Kairos' edict very clearly gives its victim a single way to escape, and someone manages it. What's never happened is the pure abatement of an edict, like using a spell of warding or cancellation.
And apparently that's basically what I've done. I've claimed it and ended the edict. Actually, no, the single way of escape would apply to me. Fair enough. Have a moment, let's talk further. Let's discuss current matters.
Of course. How can I help?
You're taking lots of notes. What about?
All kinds of things. My mind is old, memory's a sieve. Keeping track of you, noting what I hear of the war, scribbling down reminders to myself, that sort of thing.
Is it safe to be writing on your arms that much?
No, certainly not. But it depends on the ink I'm using. Too much cerulean and I can't sleep. But just the right amount, and I can write all night. The red ink will give you swamp bottom if you drink it, but absorbed through the skin, it'll make you taste colors and smell music. Speaking of which, I should change out my tip.
Dude, you high as shit most of the time, aren't you?
I use 3 kinds, sepia, cerulean, and a red that's never the same shade. My recipe needs work. I like having 3 colors, but they also provide different, states of mind for writing.
Your inks sound fun. Can I try them?
No. No. I'm trying to observe you. Corroding your mind is not part of the plan.
Speak of something else, then. I have some questions for you.
I am nothing if not a semi-reliable font of knowledge. What did you want to discuss?
Arcane matters.
And I'd be happy to oblige. Ever since the fall of the Vellum Citadel, it is hard to find someone with whom I can discuss such things.
Vellum Citadel, that's the name of it. Alright, spellcraft.
I've forgotten more than most blood chanters have ever learned. What do you want to know? I think you know all I can teach you.
That's bullshit. You can tell me about signing magic. Scholars don't have a good word for what Archons do when they cast magic. Couldn't tell you how Graven Ash casts his protection over a soldier, nor would I know how Bleden Mark consciously decides to move through a shadow. Ooh, oh right, it's the Archon of Shadows guy, I forgot about him. Okay. But when us mere mages want to cast a spell, we do so by signing the sigil of an Archon that previously discovered the magical phenomenon in question. It's debated whether Archons create new magic or just discover new magic that was waiting for us, but such questions seem impossible to answer while sober. Fair enough.
And I'd be happy to oblige. Ever since the fall of the Vellum Citadel, it is hard to find someone with whom I can discuss such things.
Fuck it. Alright, and Swordbreaker. What about you? Like to train. Who the fuck are you? Bronze Brotherhood. Fair enough. Wield your weapon and do not relent. If you are disarmed, you keep fighting or you die. This is the way of the warrior. Fair enough. I don't know. I'm gonna go to Subterfuge, probably. You there. Have you made me anything lately? Nothing at the moment. Fair enough. Oh, I don't even know what you do. What you make, rather. It's all light armor, though. I want heavy armor. Damn you. Okay, Proximate action. What's this do? Generate an aura around the target. Sign up deflecting. I can get these later when I come back. You. Like to train. Subterfuge. Yeah. What about you? Let's go with... What is... Let's go with the cheaper one. And dodge. Okay, you... Probably parry, I think. Probably be best. And you... Dodge would be best. Alright, let's get out of here. Anything else? Yes, you. Gotta take a look at your wares. What you do. See what's in stock. It's a pretty good weapon. Oh, dude, an iron ring? That's fucking expensive. Yeah, it is. Shit. It's good, though. Let's see. It's leather. Crimson Spear armor. Yeah, let's go with that. Let's go with that. Let's go with that. Got any Crimson Spear boots or anything? I just don't suppose. Of course you don't. That's glorious. Oh well. Thank you. Alright, let's get equipping. Alright. Go back here. Planning to buy something. Yes, I am. Shut up. What you got for me? Alright. Yes, yes. Alright. After this, I believe I'm going to... Oh. Well, yes. Here we go. That. And then you also get one. Alright. Now, alright. In the next episode, we will finally leave the tower and go speak with Tunon. I promise, we'll be going. I'm sorry this took so long.